It can get kind of finicky getting this seal on here. What often wants to happen is the seal doesn't want to slip over this little step that's here on that shaft somewhere. Yeah, there's that little step there. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to get over that. So I'll show you what I do. The very best thing you can do for starters is if you lube up your seal. I like to use a nice little little slippery seal stuff. I like to use this stuff on everything. Works great, nice and slippery. So it's got that slippery. We'll give her a little shot down in here, and this frozen ring there, and hopefully it'll just slip on there nice. So you just tend to rock her back and forth. Doesn't really seem like it's going to go. So what you sometimes have to do is, with a really fine hand, reach in there with your little pick or something and just work that seal over that shaft. We got her in. You got to also remember, you also are trying to shove that O-ring, so like that part on the oil seal, trying to shove that in there also, so you're doing double. So that's in there. Put the screws on there now. Right here is your oil adjustment. It's numbered 4, I think, is on the bottom. Yeah, 4 is on the bottom, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's a little mark 90 degrees to the turning slot. I like to set mine for 4 because I've never had too much oil on my chainsaw bar before. I like to have it throwing lots of oil. I figure more oil is better than no oil. And oil's reasonably cheap. And full clutch assembly. First piece is the steel washer. That's very necessary. Don't go without it. So what that does is that step that we were fighting over, that washer actually stops on it, and that's where your worm gear goes on next. Next thing it goes on is the thin steel dust cover. Next thing that goes on is the plastic dust cover that's on there with the sprocket. So there's the rim and sprocket. The sprocket comes off, they're changeable. This one is currently a 7-tooth. I'd probably rather have it an 8-tooth, but we'll see how it runs. So I found another clutch here with a 8-tooth. We'll see if it fits on here. We'll give her a little oil on the bearing. So this here, many people don't know, is this hole in the end of the shaft is actually a greasing port. So So I don't have one right now, but it's a bar tip nose grease gun, little cone shaped thing. You squirt grease in there, and it comes out right out that little hole, and that actually greases and what that hole actually does is it puts grease on your clutch bearing. Might be that this shaft is a little oversized. Not too bad though. Last thing that goes on is your clutch. Now you don't need to get terribly serious about tightening that clutch. What will happen is when you start to saw wood, it'll self-tighten. Alright folks, that'll wrap up this episode of Stuff and Such on this conversion build. And if you could, I know I keep saying this, but if you could please subscribe, I'd like if you could subscribe. It does help me out considerably. And thanks for watching.